Respected guest speaker, Mr. Dilip Kumar, professors, faculty, students, and participants, good morning to all. It's my privilege to welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Dilip Kumar, for this webinar. On behalf of our management, KCG faculty, students, participants, and on my own behalf, I extend a warm welcome to our guest speaker, Mr. Dilip Kumar. We are delighted to have you with us as a guest speaker for this webinar on the topic Key Organizational Activities, Explanation through Total Quality Management Practices. I also welcome heads of departments, professors, faculty, students, and other participants for today's webinar. To begin with, let me introduce our guest speaker for today's webinar, Mr. Dilip Kumar. I feel happy and proud to introduce our alumnus, Mr. Dilip Kumar, who had studied a BE degree in mechanical engineering during the year 2008 to 2012. He is also one of our university rank holder. After his graduation, he joined RANE Brake Lining Ltd and served 5 years till 2017 in the area of TQM and product management. Then he joined and served Value India Private Limited for 1 year till 2018 in the area of product management and trade marketing. He also served in Volvo HR commercial vehicles in the area of marketing till 2019. He is presently working as a deputy manager product management in RANE Brake Lining Limited. With this brief introduction, now I hand over the session to our guest speaker, Mr. Dilip Kumar. I request the participants to post their questions in the chat box. Also, please submit the feedback form after this webinar to get your e-certificate. Over to Mr. Dilip Kumar, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the nice introduction. Makes me really feel great. And I'll share this presentation. Okay. So this is the presentation I'm going to share. I hope all can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So welcome you all. Welcome future engineers. I'm really glad and really feeling great happiness to conduct this session because I was in your place 7-8 days before, and it gives me a great feeling and a great nostalgic feel when I address the future engineers like you. So and I also like to thank Yesu sir for roping me in for this webinar. So without wasting much time, I'll just get into the contents of the session, what we are going to take through. So as a budding engineers, we'll be learning a lot of things like how the mechanical components functions, what is the basic systems of automobile engineering, and how does a vehicle function, how does the engine function. So there's a lot of things which we studied, and basics in mechanicals, everything we study. So something which I thought which will beneficial you is based on my experience is the automobile sector, how it functions, what is the distribution network of an automobile industry, and how the industry functions, and what are all the layers of an automobile company and the industry. So that I'll be talking about. And I also will cover about the BS stages, which you all aware of, that BS4, BS3, BS6 and all those things is happening now currently in the automobile sector. I'll just touch upon all those concepts for you. And then there is a magic word which I'll be using while the presentation. Like there are some 3 words which I'll be giving you. So I'll be very happy at the end of the session if you can grab those 3 words and take it through your entire life, because that has helped me in a very great way. So I'll explain you those magic words, which is medpacks and SIPOC. And finally, we'll just go through all the points which we have learned as a summary, and then we'll just take away some of the key takeaways from the session. So moving forward, so this is how the automobile business works. So automobile business starts with the OEMs. OEM means original equipment manufacturers. So we commercial vehicle, I've mentioned this example because I've worked there. So OEMs are those companies which sell vehicles to us. Say for example, car, bike, trucks, and all these companies where you buy your vehicle directly are called as vehicle equipment manufacturers or OEMs. So the tier 1 companies are the ones which actually supply components to the OEMs directly. Say for example, a OEM will require many components in a vehicle like steering systems, brake systems, suspension systems, a lot of other components like axles, differential, and all those things. So these components get supplied through a company to OEMs, and those are called as tier 1. So I've put an example of Value here because I've worked in Value as well. It is a clutch manufacturing company. It supplies clutch system as a whole to the OEMs. So next comes the tier 2 companies. Tier 2 companies are the ones who supply components to tier 1. So like for example, brake system. Brake system is a component which is supplied to the OEM by the tier 1. For tier 1 to make the brake system, RANE is a company which supplies brake pads, which becomes a component of the brake system. So that is being supplied and they are called as tier 2. So likewise, the organization of the automobile setup is framed in terms of these layers, and then these are the tires in which the companies operate in automobile. So as we progress and as we get through, you'll understand using an example which I posted here. Say for example, there is an OEM, which is Honda, which make the car and sell it to us. And there is a tier 1 called Brakes India Private Limited, which is a TVS group of company. They supply this brake system as a whole with the caliper, with the disc and all those things to the OEMs. So RANE Brake Lining is a company which produces friction product, which is a brake pad, to the Brakes India, which is a tier 1. So and then RANE Brake Lining again buys a component from a tier 3 company, which is a back plate, which is one of the component to make the brake pad as such. So once it is made and it goes. So this is a cycle of supply chain through which the automobile industry functions. So why I would like to talk about this distribution network is because when we are studying, our exposure towards automobile industry will be mostly pertain towards OEMs like Honda, Hyundai, Ashok Leyland, Tata, Toyota, and all those people. Because we see those OEM manufacturers in advertisements and a lot of commercial ads and all those things. So that gets registered in our mind as saying that these are all the automobile companies. But actually, if you see the industry as such, there are a lot of companies in automobile which supplies components to these OEMs. Thereby, we have a lot of scope and then a lot of requirements for mechanical engineering as such. So this is the reason why I thought I would share this structure of OEMs and the distribution network. So then, okay, the vehicle has been manufactured. Now, how the OEMs supply to the end customer? Say for us, I want to buy a vehicle. So how do I get the vehicle from the OEMs? So it is through a dealer. There is a dealers available all India. Like you have in Chennai, X Mobiles. In North, you have a Power Mode Automobiles. These people are the ones who contact with the OEMs directly, and then they buy the vehicle, they buy the component vehicle as such from the OEMs, and then supply to the end customer. So this is how the OEMs reach the buyers. And then they also have a something called COCO, which means company operated, company owned dealership network. So this is another medium through which the OEM sells their vehicle to the vehicle manufacturers. And how do they reach us? So when as a vehicle buyer, we certain people will buy with the money which they have. Certain people will go and contact the financiers, which means the bank for loans. So when they go for contact with the banks and the loans, these financiers are being a key influencers in making the OEM sell the component to the vehicle buyers. So this is how it is channeled and connected. And also the fleet operators in the sense like the logistics, the travel people who takes us from one place to the another. And these people are the ones who is also another influencer for buying a vehicle through the vehicle OEMs. So this is how the vehicle OEMs sell the vehicles to the buyers through this structure. So there is one more business in aftermarket apart from selling the vehicle, which is the spares business. Spares business is one of the biggest business in India. It is almost estimated to be more than 60,000 crores. So it is a big network, and all OEMs as well as the tier 1 and tier 2 companies, which I told, are into this aftermarket segment. So aftermarket segment, let me explain it before getting into this slide. So say for example, myself as a Dilip, I go and buy a vehicle, say for example, Honda Amaze. So this vehicle after a year of 1 or 2 will have some wear and tear. will lose some components like clutch, brake pad, uh, filters, and all those things. So these components has to be replaced. How do we replace it? I go to a mechanic, give my vehicle. So the mechanic buys the spares from a retailer, and the retailers buys the spares from the semi-wholesalers. The semi-wholesalers buys it from the wholesaler. The wholesaler buys it from the company which manufactures these spares. So there is one more network called aftermarket, which is the after spares business, apart from vehicle selling as well. So this is how the structure is done. So both the companies are into this, OEM as well as Tier 1 and Tier 2. So just a basic idea about how the aftermarket functions. So I'll move on to the next one, which is the BS background. So what is BS? We talk a lot of things about India migrating from BS4 to BS6. So what does this actually mean? BS means Bharat stage. This was introduced in India in 2002. So why was it introduced? It has does it has something to do with the performance of the vehicle or with the enhanced technology, something like that? No. The basic need of Bharat stage is to maintain a environment free and pollution less country. So all our vehicles, as you know, is prominent to emit some of gases based on the combustion process which takes place. So these gases which comes out of the vehicle has to be controlled, and the pollutants has to be made sure that it is becoming minimum so that it is not affecting the environment. So as you see in the slide, so 2002 was BS2 introduced, and 2006 where we had the BS3, and 2012, 2010, from 2014-15 we had the BS3 as well as BS4, and full-fledged BS4 started from 2016 April 17, and then now we are approaching BS6. So what is this BS6 and BS4 all about? So as I was explaining before, you have these emissions from the vehicle which is unavoidable, but something which is in control of us is to reduce the effect of these emissions. So how do we do it? It is basically through some of the components like EGR and SCR. EGR and SCR you would have studied in your automobile chapter, where you have exhaust gas recirculation system. It is a methodology through which the gases which is exhausting from the combustion again taken back to the engine and make sure that it is get completely combust, and then NOx, which is the nitrogen oxides, gets lowered because of the temperature in the combustion chamber, and then it is released to the atmosphere. So this way the NOx amount is reduced. And also the selective catalytic converter is one where you have a catalyst reacting to the exhaust system and then reducing the emissions. So I'll just come back to this slide. So this is the basic functioning of exhaust gas recirculation. I'm not going depth into it. So our objective of this presentation is more of process and how the automobile works and all. So this is just to give you an idea about how it is done. So in a vehicle, if you have both EGR and SCR, it becomes a BS6 vehicle. So this is about the emission norms and how what is BS and how we are going to move to BS6. So I'll move on to the next slide. So this is basically a slide from Volvo Asia commercial vehicle. So we all know that there are two segments in the market, which is one, the passenger car vehicle segment. The other one is the commercial vehicle segment. So passenger car segment is something which we use as a vehicle owners, like for our personal use and for passenger movement. So that is called passenger car, which is Maruti, Hyundai, Honda, Toyota, and all those people. And the other segment is the commercial vehicle. These are the vehicles which are used for business purposes, like carrying goods from one place to another, like trucks, buses, which is moved for transportation, and all those things. So this is called a commercial vehicle. So how this commercial vehicle is segregated in the vehicle OEMs? Say they call it into three categories. One is a low commercial vehicle. Low commercial vehicles are the one which are categorized based on the tonnage. Any vehicle which having a weight of less than 5 ton is considered to be the low commercial vehicle. Some of the example for low commercial vehicles are the Tata Ace, those Bolero pickup, and all these vehicles which you see in your nearby areas and nearby roadsides, where it carries cylinders, eggs, water cans, and all basic utilities of food, fruits and vegetables and all those things. So these are all the vehicles which is run inside the city and given permission to go inside the city. So these are all low commercial vehicles. The next category of vehicle is the medium commercial vehicle, where you have the vehicle with a weight of 5 ton to 15 ton. So these are all the vehicles which have a bigger tonnage capacity and bigger loading capacity of the products, and then so this carries material from one district to the other district and intrastate transportations as well. So this is the other category of the vehicle. So other category is the high commercial vehicle. Sorry about this, it's written as medium. So it is actually a high commercial vehicle, which means having tonnages from 15 to 45. So this is the truck which you used to see in the highways, where it comes from long distance like Delhi to Chennai, Kolkata to Mumbai, and Mumbai to Chennai, and all those big transportations and heavy loads are being carried by the vehicles which are from 15 to 45 tonnages. So this is how the commercial vehicle company segregates its products into three categories. And then there's something called a terminology which is known as payload. Payload is something which means the vehicle loading capacity. So how much a vehicle can load based on the norms and the legal terms. So this is about the categorization of this thing. So I was talking about some magic words. So I would like you to memorize this, because this will help you in numerous ways. The word is medpacks. Medpacks. Each and every letter of this word has a specific meaning. I'll explain you through it. So medpacks, what does it mean? M means for modern. So I've given an example of I've given an example of Asia 1049. So this is a low commercial vehicle which is having a 4.9 ton category. So how do we explain a vehicle through this medpack? You see now. So M is about model. So E is what? E is engine. So any component, any vehicle, engine is the most critical part, as you all know. As a mechanical engineer, the first thing we should have known from the vehicle is the engines. So how do we explain an engine? So engine has to be spoken about in terms of 2-3 important criteria, which is the technology of the engine, which is BS6 or 4 operated engine, which I explained. Applications in which you understand the vehicle. So moving on to the next, which is T, which is transmission. So transmission consists of components like from the engine. Once a rotatory motion is produced as a result of the combustion, this rotatory motion has to be transferred to the vehicles. So how does it happen? From engine, it goes to the flywheel to the gearbox, and then to the propeller shaft, clutch, and then to the gearbox, and then to the propeller shaft, and then it reaches the axle. So this is how the transmission happens. So next, P is for platform. Platform basically means in which all the way load and the other components of the vehicle is being placed. So next, which is A, which means axle. Axle, as you know, you have two axles in a vehicle, in a passenger car vehicle, and heavy commercial depends on the load of the vehicle. The axle will improve, like you say, Volvo has a multi-axle Volvo, and all those things you say, right? So that is based on the weight it carries. The number of axle in the rear will get increased. So A means axle, and C is cabin. So in terms of commercial vehicle, we used to call it as cabin, because cabin is the one which is very, very critical, because commercial vehicle is purely run by a driver. So it is not for passenger transportation. So this driver comfort and the facilities for the driver in that cabin area is very critical in selling a vehicle to the vehicle buyer. So next, S. S stands for steering system. Steering system, as you know, is to guide the vehicle through your passage. And how does it happen? It goes through a steering column, steering box, and then from steering box to a drag link and to a thyroid, and finally to wheels. So this is how the transmission happens. And then it's the suspension system, which you all know is basically in the heavy commercial is a lever spring, stands as a suspension system, and other lot of components like the dampers and the springs and all the lower control arm, upper control arm in passenger cars, and all these things comes as a part of suspension system. So why I'm giving this magic word, med packs, is because whenever you asked to explain about a vehicle, you remember this word, med packs, and start pulling things from your mind in terms of model, engine, transmission, propeller, axle, cabin, steering system, and steering suspension system. So this way, it becomes very easy for you to explain a vehicle in whatever areas which you need. So this is a technique, sales technique, which has been used in the OEMs to sell the product to the customer by explaining its features. So let's move on to the next slide. So the major topic for us is total quality management. So total quality management, which you would have gone through in your subjects, like total quality management is a system which helps us to make sure that all our processes are maintained in a perfect quality through usage of some tools and techniques. So again, I'm going to give you a magic word, one more magic word, which is PDCA. So you all would have heard of PDCA, which is also called as Deming cycle. So it's nothing very new or very different or unique or a rocket science. It's just a basic thing which explains you about plan, do, so you go for it, you see what all chapters we have, 5 chapters, and you plan when to study what. So and then when you do it, and then while studying it, you also have a check mechanism, like am I going through in the pace which I need to go for the examination. So you check again whether am I going through. If you're not going through in that pace, you increase your pace, or you study, you actually try to differentiate your methodology and then move forward in a much better pace. So that is the basic explanation of a PDCA. So if you see in an organization, everywhere this PDCA cycle is being circulated, and everywhere the system happens only through a planning, and then we check it in the regular intervals, and then we act accordingly based on the results what we obtain. So this is basically TQM, and anybody whom you want to explain about TQM, there are 3 critical words which you need to use. One is the customer focus. So whatever you do, anything, any single activities which happen in an organization is for the customer, because customer is the one who are going to buy your product. So everything turns out and points out to one basic need, which is the customer's focus, and then the continuous improvement. So as I said, PDCA, this plan, do, check, act, is always being rotated in every process and system, which makes sure that the organization is growing continuously. And the other terminology is total employee involvement. How do you involve your employees towards your company's goals and objectives, visions, to make sure that the goals are achieved based on the perfect process and systems. So why am I talking about total quality management as such? Because I was talking about the OEMs, the structures, and how BS6 came about, and the vehicles and all those things. Now I'm covering total quality management because everywhere there is TQM. So TQM, some companies say TQM, some company may not say that they are following TQM, but they are following TQM through a system called ISO. ISO is a standard which you all know. For automobile, it is ISO TS 16949, which talks about the basic processes of an organization, how the product is being produced and served to the customer with the utmost quality. So now all these things are some of the processes which the ISO TS talks about. So now I'll take you through some of the departments and important functions of any organization is. So why am I explaining this? First, let us make that very clear. So as a mechanical engineer, something which we something which comes to our mind if we think about automobile is, first thing is the insertion development. So we create a product, we design a product, we manufacture it, and we sell it. That is a basic thing which everybody knows. But there are a lot of roles and responsibility in an organization which a mechanical engineer can take up and then do a very good job as well. So I just wanted to give you an exposure on how the company operates through all these functions, and also using a magic word, how to explain the process of each and every functions. So that is what we are going to see now. Let's go through one by one. So if you see, there are 2 basic functions in any organization. One is the corporate function. Corporate function is a basic starting point of any organization, which gives instructions to the plant operations, which is the manufacturing sector, which gives inputs to the plant and operations to the product. So I'll explain you through one by one what is the corporate functions are. The corporate functions are, first, starting with marketing and sales. So why am I starting with marketing and sales? Because as I said previously, total quality management all revolves with the customer focus. So what is customer and who are they? How are marketing connected to the customer? So that is what we're going to see now. Is marketing and sales same? Is it both same? Hello? Okay, so hello?
Dilip, audience audio muted.
Okay, fine,
Okay,
sir.
okay, okay.
Got it, so okay.
Oh, sorry, okay.
So no issues, sir, no issues. So this marketing and sales is actually two different terminologies which we used to talk about. Most of the cases, most of the people when they talk, they say marketing and sales are the same, but that's not the case. Marketing is different and sales is different. How they are different? Okay, marketing is the one which creates the demand. Say as a vehicle owner, you vehicle buyer, I'm saying. Say I'm a vehicle buyer. For me, Hyundai considers me as a potential buyer. And how does he attracts me and how does he creates demand amongst me? He puts a lot of ad. He puts banners, posters. I see the banners and advertisements. I get attracted towards the product, and then I go and buy a vehicle, which is a Honda Amaze or whatever. So like this. So this is how the marketing plays a critical role in creating a demand for a particular product and attracts a customer to buy the particular product. So what does sales do now? Sales is something which takes the marketing concepts and the selling points from the marketing department and it explains to the customer about the benefits of the product to make the customer buy the product. So this is how the marketing and sales function merge together and sell a product. So this is every company will have a marketing and sales function. And next is the research and development. So how does marketing and research and development interlink together? This is through marketing. As I said, it creates a demand. And one more critical process which marketing does is it understands the customer needs. What does the customer expect out of a vehicle? Say you had a Swift in some time before, and you have a lot of other Swifts coming up, like Desire, like U Swift, and then the Santro facelift. So how does it happen? So it is through marketing. So marketing constantly keeps touch with the customer, and then it makes sure it collects the information where the customer is satisfied and where the customer is not satisfied with some of the pain points. These pain points are taken and given to the research and development department to work on the product and then give a new product which is a much better quality and much better in terms of performance to the customers. So this is how marketing and research and development department club together and work as a team. So next is a material management. Material management is a supply chain management system where you have a department completely focused on buying and procuring the raw materials which is required to produce the car. So like for example, what does this materials management do? For example, in an OEM company, material management department will coordinate with the tier 1 and tier 2 companies to get their raw materials to make the car. So this is how it functions, and based on the organization, the product changes, but the process is very similar. So next is the manufacturing facility development. So what does manufacturing facility development means? It's nothing but we talk about manufacturing, we talk about plant, everything. So plant should have their own equipments and machines, tools and testing equipments to make sure the product is produced and reaches the customer on a much better quality. So this function does the important job of bringing in the machines, required equipments and tools to the plant operations, and then it helps in manufacturing a product. So next is the human resources. Human resources which we come across, they are the ones who actually recruit us. So they does the important function of maintaining the employee engagement activity, employee balance in the organization, takes care of the employee, provides a training and development to them. And then next important function which we mostly oversight in an organization is the finance and IT. So these people are the ones who actually gives us guidelines in terms of what is our budget, are we in track of our budgets, are we making profits, are we investing the money in the right technology, and is it giving us benefit in terms of return on investment, and all these things are calculated by finance. and also some of the new IT systems to automate and make the things easier in an organization. There's the plant operation, which is very important. So all these functions are operating in order to make that the plant is going in a very smooth and trouble-free manner. So plant function is the one which produces the product and gives the product to us as a customer. So now let us look at plant functions as this. Now whatever we saw is corporate functions. So what are the functions which is available in plant? There are quite a number of functions which is there, which is one is the production. So production is very, very important and critical, which you all know is the one which produces the product actually with the machines available and then gives the final product. So there's one more function which is equally important in terms of production is the quality. So quality, there are two types of quality. One is the incoming quality, the other one is the in-process quality, and the other one is the outgoing quality. What do we mean by incoming? Incoming is the, as I explained before, material management brings in the raw material to produce the product. So these raw materials will be tested whether it is suitable for the for production, and then only it goes to producing. So when produced in the production process, meanwhile these products are tested in the sub process stage itself to make sure we are producing right products only. So that is called as in-process quality checking. And the outgoing quality. Outgoing quality is what we call it as after producing the product has been tested and then confirmed whether it can reach the customer. You will have in your product called OK, certified. In all the products like vehicles you buy, whatever product you buy, you have a seal in the pack saying that OK, certified by quality, like that. So that is the outgoing quality which you have in the organization. So next one is the maintenance. So what does maintenance function do? Maintenance function basically make sure that the machines are on options and the uptime is maintained by all the machines, so that because every hour of production is very, very critical. So that is being maintained by the maintenance department through a lot of techniques like total preventive maintenance, lean production system. A lot of concepts and techniques are there which you are studying currently will be applied in this maintenance function, and then make sure that the machines are in perfect conditions for production. And the next one is the procurement, stores and everything. So this maintains material management department gives instruction to the plant procurement department to buy the daily requirements from the supplier, monitor from them, and then make sure the raw materials are available for production on the particular day. So next is a plant facility development. As I explained before, main manufacturing facility development as a corporate function gives instruction to the plant facility development to conduct the day-to-day activities for production tools and gauges to make sure the products are produced in right quality. Next is the plant finance, which takes care of the plant financial activities as such. And next is the plant human resources, which takes care of the same functions with respect to the plant. So basic departments and functions in which using which the organization runs and produces the products and supplies to the customers. So this is how it goes through. So now I'll give you one more magic word, which is SIPOC. So what is SIPOC? Why do I call it as SIPOC? So like previously MedPack, this also has every letter has a meaning. Just look at the table, the flowchart which is shown below, where you have in the center process, and then you have supplier, you have input, outcome, and customer. So this is called SIPOC. S means supplier, I means input, P means process, O means outcome, and C means the customer. So this way, this is a simple technique which helps you to understand any processes, whatever processes you go through. It is a guide for you to ask questions in a right manner to understand about the particular process. So for example, I'll go through one of the processes of a marketing department. So first we'll just go through about what are the basic functions of the marketing. As I said before, marketing and sales function, one of the important functions is to create the demand. And the other important function is to reach customer and new business development. And one of the most important is to understand the customer need and communicate to the R&D department. And also marketing plays a key role in pricing and product launch and positioning the product in the market. and it also sells the product through promotion and customer relationship. So these are all some of the major critical functions of a marketing department. And let us explain one example through this SIPOC word. Say for example, marketing, sales, promotion. It is a process. So who is a supplier for marketing, sales, promotion? Supplier is the plant production who gives a product to the marketing department to conduct a promotion activity. So what is the input? Input is the products. So what is the outcome of it? Outcome is the customer awareness which comes out through the sales promotion activity and the sales revenue generated through this activity. And who are the customer? The customers are the one who actually buys the product. So this is a basic example of how the activities are mapped in understanding a process of marketing, sales, promotion. So this way, using the SIPOC, you can understand any processes in an organization, in any whatever department, whatever functions, it can be easily mapped and easily studied. I'll just go through one more basic example which I spoke about, the competitor comparison study. Yes, we collected input from the customer. We understand what the customer needs. But there is one more player similar to us. If you take Honda, there is one more player like Honda, which is called Hyundai, who also produces car and also gives to the customer. So there are a lot of competition in the market, and how do we make sure we are producing a product which satisfies the customer, at the same time it outbeats the competitors' performance. So this is one of basic example on how do we stand in terms of the competitors. We study based on the inputs from the market, and then we understand where do we stand and what are the weak areas and how do we improve. Like for example, customer awareness, are we weak? If we are weak, we'll improve on it. Product quality, product availability, technical assistance, selling staffs. So we compare on these parameters against the competitor and make sure that we are also on par with the competition in terms of selling the product. So moving on to the research and development, which is very and interesting and directly linked with the mechanical department in terms of designing and all those stuff. So what does their basic function is? One basic thing is very essential for R&D department is to have a constant touch with the marketing department. So marketing department is the one which maintains a customer relationship and talks day in and day out with the customer. So they are the ones who will have the inputs of the customers. So R&D, being in touch with the marketing, will get the inputs from the marketing department and converts that into technical parameters. Say for example, the customer says, my braking is not very good. My braking is very dull, and then it is not stopping wherever I want to stop. I'm not very confident about my braking system. So how do an R&D chip in and make sure that this need of a customer is satisfied in terms of technically? So what does R&D does is, okay, you are not having a good braking system, fine. Okay, I'll work on my coefficient of friction of the disc pad so that my pad becomes better in terms of braking efficiency, and also it provides a good life to the product and confidence to the customer. So this way, the R&D department converts the needs of marketing into a technical parameters. And next is the comparing competitor performance, which I showed you previously. They do a very critical job of conducting a lot of tests and trials through systems like dynamometer. A lot of simulation testing has been done. So through these analysis, they will come to understand where we are lagging in terms of product, and then how do we need to improve it. And next is the new product development. Based on these inputs, the product has to be developed in coordination with a lot of other functions. New product development as such itself is a very big process, and it involves every department of an organization, and which can be explained through separately. It's actually an 1 hour content which has got to be explained differently in a structured, detailed manner to make you all understand. So the other important function is trial and testing. The other one is to provide guideline to the plant, production and quality. Once a product is being made, the product has to be made sure with a lot of methods and processes how the plant will produce that, because R&D is the one who designs the product. So it tells the plant and quality department to with the guidelines, norms, specifications and all those things to make sure the product is produced as per their concept and design. So these are all important functions. So now let us take through one function, which is new product development. How this R&D department does this process of new product development. So who is the supplier? Like using our magic word SIPOC, how do we understand this project process? Who is the supplier for this process? as I said, marketing is the one who gives the input. He is a supplier. He gives the supply in terms of input. So what is the input? Input is the feedbacks of the customer, which we get from marketing. What is the outcome? Outcome is the new product, which we develop based on this input and give it to the customer. So who was the customer? Customer is the one who expressed that there is a need for a new product, and then his pain points are being addressed, and then he is the one who gets the final product from the new product development process. So this way, I've just given you two basic examples of two critical functions, marketing and research and development, on how the SIPOC technique can be used to understand the process of a organization or any process. So I'll just run you through quickly what are all the departments are there and basic functions, which I already covered, but as a summary, I'll just take you through. Material management system, as I said, they plan the raw material demand, and then they procure material to make sure it reaches the customer in the right quantity and right time, and then manages the supply chain, and it stores the product, and then it maintains the FG. FG means finished goods. Once a product is produced, the inventory is being made, and then that is maintained in the organization. Make sure that the products are reaching customer at the right time, and also does a very important job of localizing and cost saving. So for a material management department, it is very essential for them to select a right supplier. So is basically with an example I would like to explain. Like when we try to buy a phone, what we do, we compare a lot of other phones. We see which is of very less quality, less cost, at the same time giving a very good performance. So we do this basic analysis when we buy a product, no, anything, or for that matter, TV, washing machine, computer, whatever. So we do this analysis. The same way, material management department does an analysis for every raw material it procures from supplier. It sources who are all the suppliers are there, and what is the benefits from the supplier, whether he can produce and give the product without any interruption for our production, and then as a product of good quality, and all those things, and also importantly the price, which matching with the other suppliers, and all these analysis will be done, and then the products will be procured. So next is the manufacturing facility development, which I explained before, is the one which makes sure that there is a production facility available, and then it creates the production plant with all the machines and tools and techniques. And it also maintains the machines are in the right conditions, and tool development is done for new product requirement from the R&D. Next is the finance and IT, which I explained before. Finance basically takes care of the SAP process. So here I would like to explain in detail about the SAP. So SAP is a concept which is used in enterprise resource planning. You would go through about SAP in one of your chapters, like the production planning and control. So what does it basically do? It makes sure the material movement of the company is entered in a system and followed through a system and process, and made sure it's accountable for the company to do an audit later. So whenever the material is being procured from the materials department, it is entered in the SAP. So there is two movement happening in the organization. One is the physical movement of the material from one function to the other, from raw material to production, production to quality, quality to customer, and customer to the final end product, end reacher. So this process is also happening simultaneously in the system as an instruction through the computer. This is called SAP. So enterprise resource planning. So this gives every department when to procure the material, whether the product has reached the quality department for testing, whether it has reached the production department for producing, whether it has reached the FG department, finished goods. Likewise, it gives a very good flow and makes sure every process is accountable in an organization. So this is how the SAP is done, and finance and IT plays a critical role in retaining the SAP in terms of capturing new requirements and making sure the process is improving continuously to improve the production system as such. And also it maintains the cash flow. The treasury management is being done by the finance, where it makes sure where the interest is low, where we need to get the money from for our current activities, how do we spend, and all those things happens in the treasury management. As I said before, IT automation projects were also taken care of. So booking of accounts, you all would have heard a name of the balance sheet. So that is something which comes in and goes out. Everything is accountable. So that is taken care by the finance department. Taxation management and legal compliance are some of the basic functions which the finance and IT department does. So next other important function is the human resource. What does a human resource do? Human resource basic function is to recruit people, and then make sure they are of good quality for the organization to function in a smooth manner. And also do a lot of engagement activities, make sure the employees are well motivated and they are doing their roles in a very peaceful and better work-life manner. So, and also payroll processing is very, very important of salary processing, and this training and development is also done by the HR department, so that based on the technology improvements and other things, the employees working currently in the organization are up to date with the systems and processes which are introduced newly, and then all those trainings happens. And also the industry relationship management, which happens in an organization where the plant operators and the plant staff, they are all in terms of legal issues and all those society management and all those things happen in the plant. That also has been taken care by the human resource management department. So these are all the key functions of the organization. And okay, so we have almost come to the end of the session, where let us go through the key takeaways which we gone through so far. So what did we see? We see OEM business structure. How does a OEM function with the tier 1, tier 2, how they sell the product to the customer, what is the structure, and all those things we gone through, and then we explained through the structure and all those things. So why am I explaining this is to make sure to give an exposure to you, saying that there is nothing called automobile is only not the OEMs. It's about all the other companies that supports the OEM to produce a final product like a car or a truck or a bus. So this is the objective of it. So we saw a magic word which is medpacks, through which any model can be explained. Say somebody is asking you tomorrow, as a mechanical engineer, you are expected to explain about a car. So somebody comes and asks you, what is Swift? Can you explain why is Swift good in terms of Alto compared to Alto? You should be in a position using this in medpacks, explain through the engine, transmission, propeller, axle, cabin, steering, suspension, and all those things. So this will help you in explaining the model or a vehicle in a much better way. And then we also saw how TQM is used in the industries in all each functions. And we also saw a magic word called SIPOC, which is supplier, input, process, outcome, and customer. So these two, three words which will help you to make sure that whatever questions comes up to you, you can answer using these keywords as a tool to explain the process which is happening in the organization. So these are all some of the inputs which I have for today. So I've come to the end of the session, and thank you so much. I think I made some valuable inputs to you. So please remember these 3 keywords out of this session. I'll be really happy if you can use it in the days to come, in wherever in a career you go, or wherever interview you face, and whatever things like that. Remember these 3 words: PDCA, medpacks, and SIPOC. It will definitely help you, and it has helped me in a numerous number of ways, and will also help you. So thank you all. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jesus, sir, for roping me in and giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Mr. Dilip? Mr. Dilip? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello? There are some questions. Hello?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it audible for you?
Yes, sir, sir. Audible, sir.
There are some questions. One from Professor Kennedy to talk about BS5.
Okay. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
What about BS5?
Sir, BS5 is actually a system which was there in concept, but
Okay.
this BS6 was introduced in April 17, and this concept of BS5 was conceptualized and brought in the year of 2018 and 19. So at that time, the other system of BS6 was introduced in a very short span of time when the BS5 was there. So what the industrial people thought is, we'll go with directly BS6 because BS6 is much advanced, and which is very better in terms of pollutant reduction also. So they thought we'll go to BS6 directly from BS4. So that's how BS5 has been skipped in the industries.
Any other questions from the panelists and from the participants?
Dilip, one more question.
Yes, sir.
What are the additional courses the students should undergo during the 4-year study?
Okay. Additional courses. So that depends on, that's one of the important thing why I explained the processes. Because as a mechanical engineers, as a students, one thing is when they studied 12th, they had a clear idea what they should choose, whether mechanical or CS or IT or EEE or EC, whatever. So likewise, every mechanical student should have a basic understanding and idea about what are all the functions there in the organization. So they should select particular function. If somebody selects research and development, you should have a very good understanding about all the 3D modeling softwares like ProE, SolidWorks, Ansoff, and all those things. So it depends on which department he selects, sir. So that's how we make sure he can learn things. And project planning software is one software which every mechanical student should actually go through. So there are a lot of institutions which gives idea about what a project planning is like. You have MS Project, Primavera. These two software is something which is very well used in the organization.
Any SAP course needed?
SAP course will actually help, sir, but only if they take the SAP as their complete career, it will be very helpful. Otherwise, for a mechanical engineer, a basic understanding of SAP will actually do good. Like when he comes to when he takes marketing department, he will go through the sales and marketing module. If he goes to material department, he goes to material management modules of SAP. So again, which department he wants to go plays a very critical role in studying SAP also.
So Dilip, one more question from Kailash. Can you please elaborate on just-in-time manufacturing?
Okay. And 5 years.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So just in time. So as the name suggests, just in time is a system which actually makes sure you produce the product only when the customer needs. So you don't produce and keep it in your inventory. Say, for example, I explained when I'm going through the OEM structure, no, like as a RANE, we are supplier to Brakes India. So what happens in this, there is one more terminology in this just in time, which is Kanban. So Kanban is actually a card system. The Brakes India will give me a card as a RANE company. He gives me a card. He will say, today I want 1,000 pieces. Once I receive the card, I start my production. So based on the lead time, I receive card from the customer, and then I do the production for the day of producing the 1,000 numbers, and then I send it to the customer. So there is something called a push system and a pull system. Just in time is a pull system where you produce the product only when your customer asks for it. So through this, you will have zero inventory. You have a minimum work in progress so that you can maintain your resources and materials in the critical times. So that is the advantage of just in time. And also 5 years. 5 years is a very, very important TQM tool, which is used in the organization everywhere, wherever you go. They talk about 5 years. It is not about the production or the plant alone. It is about maintaining your college bag. So that is also 5 years. So everywhere there is a 5 years. So 5 years is all basically cleaning, sorting, whether what you want, what you don't want, you separate it. And then you make sure everything can be accessed whenever you want it easily. Like that. So that is very, very important, and it's being used in all the manufacturing industries.
There is one more question from Rohan David. During pandemic times, how do companies attract customers?
Okay. So during pandemic, like the current situation.
Yes.
So current situation is actually very tough. So every company is trying to come out with the solution, because this is something which the company is seeing for the first time. Also, so 2 months shutdown, 1.5 months shutdown is something which generation itself seeing it for the first time. So they are trying to come up with some of the technologies, like giving a better product is the only key parameter which is followed currently, because there are 2-3 other things which plays a key critical role here, because the buying power of the buyer is also reduced. So how do we give a less price product and also at the same time make a better profit? So I would like to explain how the company manages at this situation rather than how company sells. So company is trying to reduce their cost. It is only trying to reduce their the unwanted the expenses which they make to reduce the to improve the profit level at this condition. So hopefully everything goes well and we start selling. The pandemic is over, I think. So now hopefully from next month it should be fine. So far there is no very innovative techniques in the market. It's only about branding currently. So we are to come up with a very innovative ideas here.
Okay, thank you for answering all of the questions and queries. Now I request Professor Dr. Yesu to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning to one and all present here. It's my pleasure to propose vote of thanks on behalf of our management, the principal, dean, associate dean, and Department of Mechanical Engineering. I thank Mr. Dilip Kumar for accepting our invitation and sharing his valuable industrial experience. And also thank for the magic words, MedPacks and CIPA. I thank all the participants, faculty members, and to students for attending this seminar. Thank you.